Oh, here it goes.
What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 2Smart Dummies podcast. As always, I'm your host, Marcus.
And I'm your host, B. Reed.
Beatty, what's up, man?
Whole bunch of nothing, man. Trying to dodge the coronavirus.
Yeah, me too. Shit, they got me out here traveling during this crisis. But according to the statistics, ain't no black people got this thing yet. We might be immune to this bitch, so who knows?
Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they want you to believe.
Yeah, now I'm not believing anything they say, but
how many black people going to the doctor to get tested for the coronavirus?
Yeah, we don't do that.
It's just a cold. People just, theoretically for the flu, you really don't have to go to the doctor. You just got to kind of let it pass. You need to go get some Theraflu or some shit.
So they are rapidly canceling events across the world, sporting events, which, in the grand scheme of things means very little to life. But they are certainly, at the moment, canceling any and everything or closing off arenas. The NBA has come together and decided that they aren't going to let the media in the locker rooms.
Yeah, it's going to be just essential personnel in the locker rooms. I guess you can't go get your interviews in the locker room, but, how important is that shit?
What about the 80... Or how many people fit in these stadiums? The 45,000 people, 20,000 people that are coming to the games that are right on top of them?
Well, that's the next step. They're supposed to be having a meeting on Wednesday, and they're talking about only letting essential personnel in the arena. And LeBron's like, shit, I only come to play for the fans. If it ain't no fans here, I ain't playing.
Yeah, he's gonna play.
You think?
Yeah,
they got the number one seed locked up. He don't have to play.
Yeah, so it works out for him, but they're not going for that. And at the end of the day, he's not going to risk that number one seed. If they have to forfeit these games and take these automatic L's, you're going to see his ass playing in empty arenas.
Man, you know how weird it's going to be playing a game in an empty arena? It's going to be like a practice. Throw him off. It's going to be like a practice.
It's going to throw him off. So, it's going to be interesting, man. It's serious. It's, I don't want to downplay it because, people are out here losing their lives to it. But what do you think about it? Should the NBA postpone? Should they cancel? Should they just, do what they're thinking about and play in empty arenas? That seems like the best solution.
It's too much money to postpone or cancel. You're still on the schedule. You still got TV contracts. So I doubt that they cancel anything just because of the TV contracts. We both know TV contracts is what make this shit go. You know what I mean? So they can't because of the playoff schedule. They got to end the season by a certain time. They got to get the playoffs started by a certain time. So I don't even think ending the season is an option. The weird thing about the coronavirus is I don't think that the virus is that bad per se. It's the spread of it. They can't contain the spread of the virus because it's just so contagious and it's airborne. So you get one person in a stadium with the corona, and you might have a whole stadium with the corona by the time you leave. So I really don't know how you fix that.
Can we start calling it with the corona?
With the corona.
Oh, the boy got the corona.
The boy got that corona, man. Keep him away from me.
Can we keep it the sugars?
What the fucked up part about it is it's airborne, so theoretically, if someone in the stadium got it, the players can get it. You know what I mean? So
but you used to love The Walking Dead. Ain't this how it started?
Yes.
Isn't this where we at?
Some mysterious virus to get it popping. You know what I mean?
So I'm always on high alert, and I already don't like touching people as it is. So,
this is why
but let me
I don't
tell you
like
something.
Going to sporting events and places with mass gatherings of people.
Let me tell you something, though. American Airlines, y'all motherfucking suck. So, I was in Tampa, and I was supposed to be at a work event, but I didn't go. I had some other things happening. And I was like, yo, let me go ahead and try and fly out Friday night instead of Saturday morning. So I call them. I'm like, yo, 2 people have been confirmed with coronavirus. I'm trying to get out of here. And they're like, yeah, no problem. We'll put you on this flight. You'll go home at 4 in the morning. I was like, okay, bet. That's fine. And they're like, yeah, it's going to cost you $200 to transfer. I was like, wait, y'all ain't waiving this during coronavirus time? They're like, no, only if you booked your ticket in March. I was like, bitch, it's March 5th. What do you mean? Like, you know, and just so fuck American Airlines, man. Y'all dirty, you greedy. Yeah, and I hope I don't got the damn coronavirus.
Yeah, I had a bad experience on American too.
My least favorite airline.
Let's get into this Kenny Atkinson news, man. You know, that's your guy. You gave him all the praises last year. Thought he was the best coach in the NBA. You know what I mean? And they let his ass go.
Mm-hmm. Apparently it was mutual, though. Apparently he said he didn't want to coach Kyrie and KD. I think he got a little taste of what it was like with just Kyrie. And you know, and the effect that it had on his players. I think he's more interested in developing players like a Karis LeVert, like a Spencer Dinwiddie, like a D'Angelo Russell, like a Jared Allen. That's his track record. They got to the playoffs with his system that somehow was not being played when Kyrie was in the game. But magically, when he's not playing, they run his system. They tend to win games or at least be close. He just didn't want to put up with that shit anymore. He's like, yo, you know what? If this is my life, I'm out.
Yeah, for everything I read, it sounds like the Nets were perfectly okay with like keeping him and trying to work this out. And he was like, nah, fuck this, let me go now. This is not gonna work. This is not a tenable situation. This is not what I signed up for. I mean, I understand, man. You got him. He did all the work when they had nothing, when the cupboard was bare, developing players, turning it into a winning organization and a winning culture. And then you get a big free agency with Kyrie and KD, two babies with egos, and they come in there and just think they know everything because they won championships on the backs of great players, such as the Golden State Warriors and LeBron, saying that it's not a championship atmosphere. Everything I hear is, man, they didn't like, not only, it wasn't even about the development, because, of course, if you got Jared Allen, you're supposed to start him, and DeAndre Jordan is supposed to be helping him along. Well, the fact that DeAndre Jordan got benched and was supposed to be starting because he came in with those two, that was a problem. They didn't like the spread the ball around offense. They wanted a hierarchy of players who should be taking the shots. It's even shit coming out now saying Kevin Durant didn't even like Golden State system. He only did it just to get a title. But he hated that ball movement type, anybody best shot type scenario. So, I mean, I'm glad Atkinson got out of there, man. That just wasn't a situation I think it's going to fail. I mean, I think you think it's going to fail. I just don't think it's going to be a good situation all around.
The KD part, I'd have to hear it from him or someone that's close to him because, that doesn't sound like him because the one thing about the difference between KD and Kyrie is KD just wants to hoop. He loves to hoop. That's who he is, and he's going to play in different systems. That was the whole attraction to Golden State. Yeah, but Kyrie's not that way.
You say that, but the longer he was in Golden State, the more it became ISO to KD and not all that ball moving and screening. Now, when he first got there, that's what he was doing. That's why everybody was amazed. He wasn't just standing at the top of the key asking for the ball. He was cutting through. He was passing. Shit was amazing. Like you said, that first season he was there was probably the best Golden State team that you've seen. Slowly but surely, it just came to give me the ball down in the post and let me go one-on-one. So I don't know that he was okay with it because he didn't do it in OKC. He only did it in Golden State because that was their system. And even there, the more and more they went on with the season, the more and more it was just get the ball to KD and get out the way.
So you think Kenny Atkinson probably was looking around, and like I said, KD and Kyrie didn't really come to bat for him. Like, oh, we really wanted this dude, but you don't think he called Brad Stevens or Billy Donovan and was like, or Scotty Brooks and was like, yo, what's it like coaching KD? What's it like coaching Kyrie?
But you assuming that he had any say in the matter. He's just the coach. He ain't Sean Marks.
No. I mean just recently before he made this decision, and I'm sure them coaches were like, man, if you can get out of there, I'd get the fuck out of there. And he's probably like, yeah, I'm gonna take that. I mean, they're not gonna play my players. This shit's going down like a ship. I'm out. So
they definitely would have hurt his brand. I mean, he has a brand, he has a style of play, and I mean, it's shown it works. I mean, they're in the playoffs.
And he's pretty much got the pick of the litter with the jobs that are going to come open. There's supposed to be 8 to 10 jobs that are going to open up this summer, which seems like a real high amount. But I mean, whatever comes available. I know there's rumors of him to the Knicks because of homeboy,
Leon
is
Rose.
the same agent. Yeah, Leon Rose is the same agent, all that kind of stuff. But If I were him, I'd want to avoid that too.
Shit, I wouldn't. I mean, that seems like the perfect hire for the Knicks. I mean, Atkinson, he's a coach that develops players. That team is full of young talent, young players that would listen to him, that would be ready to take on that style. No stars, no divas. You know what I mean? And then
That's why I want to see him in New Orleans.
yeah, I mean, he would work in New Orleans too. That would be a great fit because they would. They're already kind of doing that style. I don't think any of those players would have a problem. They're already doing a lot of ball sharing and moving the ball. If you had a choice, of course you go to New Orleans. But I think just being there in New York has all those assets. I mean, young, talented team. You don't got to move. You're already there. It just seems like a no-brainer for the Knicks.
Yeah, but there's a lot that's going to open up. You look at Philadelphia's probably going to open up. You look at Chicago's probably.
He's not going to go to a Philadelphia. That's the same problems he was leaving.
Maybe. You got a Chicago that's probably going to open up. You got
cheap management that don't go out and get players. They don't pay people. Nope, you're not going to go there. I mean, New
Orleans is definitely going to be the most coveted position if they let go of Alvin Gentry, which all reports seem like they're probably going to.
He's been gone.
Yeah, they're not making the playoffs, so which isn't necessarily his fault.
I don't know about that though. We'll get into that later. I still don't know about that.
Shit, they 5 games out there, not making the playoffs.
4 games out with the easiest. We'll get into it though. And all the reports is that Kyrie wants Ty Lue. People just want more of the same. You want a puppet, somebody that's gonna run that offense to just let you hold the ball. But the thing about it is, we've talked about this before. I think that's trouble for them because everybody in the East, the good teams in the East, they all do that ball movement. They move the ball, play hard defense, and that's the one thing I think they're going to struggle with whenever, even next year when they come back. I mean, of course, if KD's at full strength, he's going to be a problem, but now he's going to be going against Giannis. You could be playing against Siakam, you know what I'm saying? It's a little bit deeper. They play defense in the East. They move the ball a lot, and that one-on-one play, I just don't see it working. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm a seller of the Nets. Trust me, I'm not. I buy no stock in them with KD and Kyrie. Spencer Dinwiddie is a guy who probably doesn't even want to be there if he's not going to start. He said that plenty of times. He wanted to be moved during the trade deadline.
Took the money though.
Take the money. I mean, but you have to. No one's going to turn it down.
I think my biggest problem with this report was that number one, KD's saying it, going and asking, is this a championship culture while he's sitting on the bench? And Kyrie's complaining but can't stay healthy on the court. Like, you're not even playing. How are y'all criticizing what he's doing? You're in the playoffs. I know they're under 500. But how are you criticizing the coach that is keeping them above water? Karis LeVert was hurt for most of the season. KD's been out all the season. Kyrie's been up and down even when he's playing. And he's the ball dominant and don't run the system when he's in there. So all this is over what? DeAndre Jordan? I don't really get it. Like, he's keeping them above water. It could be a lot worse. He's essentially playing without their 2 biggest free agents, and they lost D'Angelo Russell. And they're complaining. I don't get it.
I mean, like I said, I'm pretty sure Atkins called around, saw the situation, and just got a taste. If this was a taste of what he's going to have to deal with next year, he was probably like, you know what? I'm not the man for this job.
I mean, more power to him. Now, I wish him much success. I think that he can be in that elite class of coaches that we talk about: Eric Spoelstra, Brad Stevens, Greg Popovich. I think he has
Quinn Snyder.
It takes. Quinn Snyder. I think he has what it takes. He just has to get an organization that's behind him, and a young team like the Knicks or New Orleans, like we talked about. I think those would be both good moves.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. You watched Lakers-Clippers game yesterday?
I did. It was a good game, man. I think that the Lakers fans are getting a little bit ahead of themselves because they got a win and everyone's excited. Like, oh, the Lakers back, they dominated. Chill. It's one game.
I mean, the Lakers are dominating. If you say they're not, you're wrong. The way they beat the hell out of Milwaukee before that, they pretty much dominated the game yesterday. I know the score was close, but once it got to nut crunching time, I mean, the Lakers really took over that game.
They're 11-1 in their last 12, so don't get me wrong. And in that they've beaten the Clippers, they've beaten the Bucks, they beat the Sixers, they beat the Zion matchup, of course. They lost
Twice.
to Memphis. The only team that they've lost to is Memphis, but they also beat Memphis. They beat Boston, and they beat Denver. So don't get me wrong, they've been dominant. I'm not talking about that. I'm specifically talking about that Clippers game. They had a good game against the Clippers, but I think it's also that the Clippers weren't really at their best. I don't trust that those role players are going to be that dependable in the playoffs.
See, I'm the exact opposite for the Clippers. I think that I don't trust. I mean, you look at a guy like Marcus Morris. That motherfucker ain't passing the ball at all. If it touches his hands, he was 1 for 11 or something crazy like that yesterday, and he ain't having it. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
but he's not essential. I mean, that shit ain't gonna ride in the playoffs.
I mean,
Everybody
he
know
is
it
because
goes to Kawhi.
Paul George is as inconsistent as they come, and that game yesterday was a perfect example of it. He had what?
Like 31.
Yeah, but he had 17 in the first half and had 2 points in the first quarter, or excuse me, in the fourth quarter. Yeah, you know,
but when he was, I said that same shit when he was with Westbrook, and you didn't want to talk about it. That's what Paul George is. Paul George can go through a whole playoff game and have 2 points.
Yeah,
like he's
and you know, and so the Clippers ain't built like, you know what I mean. Patrick Beverly, yeah, he's a dog. He's a dude you want on your team. He's a defensive matchup, but if he ain't got on offense, he's worthless at certain times.
You're also discounting. I mean, like that's what I'm saying. That's one loss, and that in the last 7 games, the Clippers are also 6-1. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's
but
not
what I'm
like
saying
they're
is
just slouches.
The Clippers were at full strength yesterday, and it's not like, you know what I mean? And Paul George was balling. Kawhi was being Kawhi, but they just got no help from anywhere else. And what the Lakers decided to do is find wherever Lou Williams is and attack him. Kyle Kuzma has been playing really good defense for them over the last few games. You know, he's come in and he's done a great job. He's figured out a way to contribute to this team. I like the Lakers more than I like Clippers. I keep saying that. I just don't trust that the Clippers are going to be able to get through playing, you know, a handful of games over the entire season together. I don't buy it. It's never happened before.
I don't believe that. I mean, I like the Clippers a lot better than I like the Lakers. I think that even though they're on a good stretch, LeBron and AD are doing a crazy amount of work in this stretch. The game that they lost was the only game that LeBron set, right? LeBron set, and they got smashed by Memphis, 105-88. I mean, they're all dependent on 2 players. If those 2 players have a bad game, if Anthony Davis, you know, goes out for his 2 quarters because he broke a fingernail or whatever, I think that it's heavily dependent on.
But
AD
what 2
and
players
LeBron.
do you like more than their 2 players? Because do you like Paul George and Kawhi more than you like AD and LeBron? I don't.
No, but I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the depth. I think that the Clippers can survive Paul George going out much better than the Lakers can survive either one of them going out for any amount of time. The Clippers,
I disagree.
Like you're taking a lot from this one game. Yeah, they had a bad game. Every team, the Lakers have had bad games. The first game that they played the Clippers, the Lakers didn't play well. People are taking way too much from this one game.
I've seen enough. I like the names that they have, but we both know Reggie Jackson ain't shit. We both know that.
Bro, in a pick and roll, Reggie Jackson is a quality point guard coming off the bench. If you're starting him and saying that, hey, Reggie Jackson, I need you to lead the team, nah, he's not shit. But you got him giving me 20 minutes a game, I take him over Rondo or Avery Bradley every day of the week. Even the little bit of games that he played with the Pistons before he came with the Clippers, he was like in the double-double. Like 15 and 10.
I'm not a believer. I'm not really a believer in their role players is what I'm saying. I think that the names are one thing, but
I think their role.
We'll see. At the end of the day,
better.
I'm looking forward to that matchup. I hope that we see that in the Western Conference Finals because, in my opinion, I think the winner comes out of LA. I think that it's going to be either the Lakers or the Clippers. I don't think that I don't know that the Bucks beat either of those teams, and I'm not confident really in anyone else in the East.
I mean, I just think it's going to be a really good playoffs, and the way it's stacking up as of right now, which this could go either way, it looks like Houston is going to be on the Clippers side, but it's like a 1 or 2 game gap between all these teams. Utah, Oklahoma City, Houston, and Dallas. They're all in there. Like Houston can go anywhere from the 7 seed to the 2 seed in these last like 19 games. So we see that in the West a lot.
I'm glad you brought up Houston because I was about ready to say I was wrong with them motherfuckers, but I'm about ready to say I was right on these motherfuckers now because they've lost 4 in a row, and it's not even that their system isn't working. They look like they are worn the fuck out. They just look tired, and that was part of my concern with them making the playoffs. Like, yeah, it's great. You can do this system for a couple games in regular season, but at some point it's going to wear you down. And again, this is more about what who I thought the Rockets were going to be. Now, am I expecting them to, fall to the 8th seed? Absolutely not. I still think that they can get hot. and jump up to the 4 or maybe the 3. But I'm not a believer in Houston in the playoffs. I'm just not, and I believe that again now.
I mean, you can keep going back and forth every time they go on win streaks and every time they don't. I mean, but what I've said is you talk about Houston like this is the first time they run this style. Like this is something new and improved that they're doing. Like this is what they've been doing for the last 5 years. They always have up and down stretch. They have stretches where they don't shoot well, which that's what they're going through now. Like the last 4 or 5 games, Harden hadn't shot well. And whenever Harden doesn't shoot well, it may be because he's tired, but he refuses to sit. Whatever the fact is,
or it's because he's been out gambling or fucking at the strip clubs. That's the rumor of him.
You also got to look at the road trip where he's at. You know what I mean?
That Toronto flu, that Miami flu,
the towns that he's visiting, man. So I mean, I've seen this story from the Houston. That any team in the Western Conference, the 3 teams that I know what I'm gonna get is I know what I'm gonna get from Denver, I know what I'm gonna get from Houston, and I pretty much know what I'm gonna get from Utah. They're gonna be the same. I don't know if Houston or I don't know if Denver or Utah is gonna be great. I know they're gonna be tough. They're gonna run their offense. They're gonna do their things. But I don't know if they got what it takes in the playoffs when it comes to hitting that second level. I know that Houston can bullshit around and have losses in the regular season and still will be a tough out in the playoffs. I mean, it's just D'Antoni he's pretty good at adjusting in the playoffs. And that's not something we could have said when he was with Phoenix a long time ago. But when you get him in the playoffs, he's been pretty good at adjusting when they have a matchup. And that's the difference about being in the playoffs. And one of my biggest concerns about the Lakers in the playoffs is the fact that when you get that, I don't have to play Milwaukee and Dallas and Houston and Memphis these next 4 games. I only have to play the Lakers. I only have to see how to stop the Lakers. That's what I want to see. And I don't trust Vogel. I trust Doc Rivers. I trust damn near every other coach in the playoffs besides for Frank Vogel.
Yeah, well, I don't.
And I definitely trust that Clippers staff more.
The only person I trust anywhere close to LeBron James is Kawhi Leonard. That's it. The rest of them fools. Look, at the end of the day, and if I can, I'm gonna go ahead and let out my inner Charles Barkley. Newsflash, America. There are but 2 teams in the Western Conference that can win a title. And that is the 2 LA teams. Denver is not getting through Houston, who they're slated to play right now. I would pick Houston over Denver. I don't think Denver can beat either of the LA teams. I don't think Utah can beat either LA teams. Houston and OKC might be actually a fun matchup. I think Memphis probably wins or gets beat in 5, probably gets swept. And then, Dallas is an interesting team to me, but Luka Doncic has been taking a lot of weird injuries lately. Just dinged up here, messed up his wrist, his thumb, slapped around in the face.
I think that's just the way of them getting him some rest, man. I think he's tired.
Maybe.
I think he's tired. But with that, you've seen a resurgence in KP. It's taken him all year, but now KP's kind of been dominant these last couple of games. Not just on the offensive end, but on the defensive end too. I mean, he's rebounding, he's shooting the ball well, and he could be a game changer with his versatility. Like, if the Rockets come up against Houston with KP playing like that, I mean, it's a wrap. I've always said that the Clippers are a bad matchup for him, but somebody like KP is like the worst of the worst matchups for him. A 7-foot guard, you know what I'm saying? It's just like back in the day if Dirk would have matched up against Houston. I mean, it's over, you know what I mean? But the difference is KP is a shot blocker too, so he can protect the rim, he can shoot the 3. It's just there's no matchup for a KP. So Houston is a dangerous team. Dallas is a dangerous team if they continue to play like they've been playing. And as I've been saying all year, people are really sleeping on their role players. They have a good set of role players that do the job, do the dirty work. That could be a good team. Now, I do think Luka has to work on his shot selection a little bit more.
Yeah, he sometimes he gets a little carried away with some of the shit he does, but I mean,
that step back one leg shit is fun until you start doing that shit from 37 feet for no reason.
Right. I mean, but the dude get damn near a triple double every game. I mean, Luka Doncic. I mean,
can't consistently
dude's
hit
incredible.
Free throws, man. I don't like when you're a point guard and you can't be dependable to go to the free throw line. That's an issue. Way. That's an issue. I agree with you on that. I'm gonna tell you a team that we haven't been giving enough love to. I mean, OKC Thunder, man. They just keep moving up, just gradually keep moving up. They're the 5th seed now. Chris Paul, man.
Chris Paul's got to be in the MVP conversation. Bro, he's not going to win it, but he's got to be in the conversation.
But this is what the award is for. The award is for not the best team in the league. It's the the player that impacts his team the most. And I can't believe that beginning of the year we thought this team was done. Hell, they're doing just as good, and they're probably more consistent than they were last year with Westbrook and Paul George.
Well, what do you know? Turns out that Billy Donovan ain't that bad of a coach when he ain't got to deal with egos and pettiness. Now, he does have to deal with one ego, but I would say Chris Paul is about winning, and Russell Westbrook, I mean, they're just different. I won't go into I won't make this a shitting on Westbrook thing, but they're just different.
It's more of a basketball intelligence, because I don't think that there was any problems between Donovan and Westbrook, but it's different when you have a point guard that can see the court like the coach. Like, he can see the vision of the coach just like the coach. So you're in line with your point guard. So it's something to be said for a coach and a point guard to be in line, where he's out there coaching on the court, coaching when they come on the bench, holding everybody accountable for all of their actions, and he's doing the dirty work too. I mean,
my problem with OKC is, man, they've got the worst wings I've ever seen in life. Starting.
Yeah, I mean, you talking about Ferguson, whoever Dort is. I don't even know who the hell that is. Yeah,
Diallo, Terrence Ferguson. Gallinari's still balling when he's out there, but other than that, it's Andre Robertson. Has he played? Is he still hurt?
I don't think he's played this year. But I mean, you still with that though, they're not. I mean, they're kind of out there just playing a role, usually spot up shooting role, because it's very unlikely that either Schroeder, Chris Paul, or Shai isn't out on the court together. So they do a good job of rotating those guards in and out. I think Chris Paul is usually there with like the off-brand two guard, and then you have a lot of Shai and Schroeder playing together. So I don't think they feel that as much as you would think looking at the roster, just because of the way they rotate the guards. When Chris Paul's out there, he's good with playing with players that maybe not as talented as you would think, because he's going to get them in spots where they can be successful. You don't got to worry about that. So I just like this OKC team, and they play hard. They're going to be physical. A fun matchup to watch would be OKC against Utah in the first round. I'd love to see that. I don't know if every basketball.
The West in general is going to be fun to watch. I agree with you. I think the playoffs are going to be good this year on both sides. I mean, with the exception of the 1-8 matchups on both sides, probably not going to be fun for anybody. 2-7, same deal. But as you start to get into that 3-6, 4-5 matchup in each conference, those are going to be great series.
I don't know about that 2-7. Like I said, it depends on what happened in the West, because if it's the Clippers, maybe not. That just means a 3-6. But whatever Denver goes, Denver's going to have a problem. Like me personally, I think whether Denver's 2, 3, or 4, they're in trouble. And if I'm Dallas, I'm trying to match up with Denver wherever they are. You know what I mean? So wherever they
I
are,
agree with you on that.
I'm trying to find Dallas and match up with Dallas. Match up with Denver if I'm Dallas. Right now, Denver is in the 3 seed. They're 1 game out of the 2 seed. That's the weak link, man. I think Denver, as much as they play good ball movement, like I said, they're just missing something. Now, I will say, Jokic has been dominant. He has been playing at an MVP caliber, but you still get those games where he's just 8-8-8. Like, he doesn't assert himself enough on the offensive end for me to trust him. Michael Porter Jr. was hot for a little bit. Now he's went back down. Murray, you don't know which Murray you're going to get. You know what I mean? Gary Harris is super inconsistent, and they just lost Beasley. So this team...
And they refuse to play Michael Porter Jr., who, when he's on the floor, he just produces. I guess they're just like, we're good.
Maybe they played him too many minutes and he got hurt again, so now they're concerned about him.
He is them raw vegans. You got to watch out for them. They hurt their bones.
He had a run and then got hurt on some shit. He was out for like 3 weeks, so that's the problem. Maybe try to save him for the playoffs as a X factor.
Let's go ahead and get into the race for the 8 seed.
Race for 8
in the West. I think Memphis is going to make playoffs. They do have the hardest schedule remaining, but they're getting their players back. They expect both Justice Winslow and Jaren Jackson back in the next week.
Justice Winslow back.
I mean, it's just to see what he can do. But Josh Jackson's balling.
Yeah.
He has really come on strong in the last week, which I figured would happen if there were an injury to the other Jackson boy,
Yeah.
Jaren, and but they've been playing well. New Orleans is 4 games back. Is 4 games back. Sacramento and Portland and San Antonio finally decided to duck out.
Yeah, I think we can go ahead and take, even though it's close, I think we can go ahead and take San Antonio and Phoenix out of the conversation and say this is a 4-team race at best.
Yeah, Portland. The case for Portland, they're getting Nurkic back. They're getting Zach Collins is coming back, and they're getting
Zach Collins that was false. Zach Collins is a ways away.
Did they say he's done?
No, they said he's a ways away from practicing.
Oh, I heard reports that they were looking at him to practice in the next couple weeks.
Nah, they said Jack Collins is still a ways away from practicing.
Oh, so he's out for the season.
Yeah, more than likely. Well, if they make it to the playoffs, he might can make it back. But Nurkic is supposed to make his debut.
And Dame is coming back next week as well.
But, I mean, I look at Memphis. I love what Memphis has done. I like how they got separation, even with the injuries that they had. That could have set them back, but they kind of got another game and a half lead with those injuries. Now, a lot of that was because New Orleans dropped a couple of games that they shouldn't.
Well, they lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, but to go with that, though, New Orleans not only has the easiest schedule going forward, they've played the most difficult schedule in the NBA. So even sitting where they are without Zion, even to be in this position, is kind of a miracle for them with all the injuries and everything that they went through this year.
It is, but a 4-game lead that's a big lead with 3 weeks to go.
Not really, because you got a 4-game lead, and 2 of those games you're playing Memphis. On the 21st and the 24th, they get to play Memphis. You can close 2 of those games just by winning those games. So they're right there. Now, that's why they're kind of in control of their own destiny, because if they can take those 2 games from Memphis, essentially you're not looking at a 4. I don't know what the record is for the season, but if you win the tiebreaker, you're making up like 2.5 games just in those 2 matchups to go along with. Throughout these last 19 games, they only played 2 games as teams over 500. You know what I mean? And, so they had everything is lined up for them, and they were playing well. They just kind of hit a brutal stretch, but they can't lose games. Before they hit that stretch last week, they lost the home game to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yep. If they wouldn't have lost that, it wouldn't have looked that bad. But you can't lose those games. Of course, you're going to struggle with the Lakers and get close, but you cannot lose the games to the Memphis Timberwolves and the bad teams. So if they can go on a run.
First of all, the Minnesota Timberwolves, all right?
What did I say?
The Memphis Timberwolves.
Oh, Minnesota Timberwolves.
But I got a question for you. Are you willing to give Luke Walton his props? He's got these boys in the playoff race. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Now, that said, he had a dumbass move last night by keeping Buddy Hield on the bench in a 3-point game. But the move to have Bogdan in the starting lineup and move Buddy to the bench has worked out. I mean, it took them a couple games to get going, but they've been balling since that switch. It turns out he knew what the hell he was doing.
Man, I don't know, man. Like, on the one hand, I do want to give him the benefit of the doubt because he has been dealing with some major injuries. He's been trying to get the right lineup. Fox was out of the lineup for a long time. Bagley's been out of the lineup. You also had Rashawn Holmes, who came in and was playing very well, and then he's been out of the lineup. So I guess the fact that he was able to still be in this position is a blessing. It shows that he is a decent coach. I think I still kind of knock him for even getting in this position in the first place. So I really don't know where I stand on Luke Walton, if I'm going to knock him for being in this position or if I'm going to give him credit for getting out of this position and playing through the injuries. That's kind of the difficulty with this team and puts him in a bad situation.
See, but the interesting thing about Luke Walton is we've started to figure out that the Sacramento Kings, as they kind of disguised it last season, threw us off the scent. We were like, well, they're doing some good stuff over here, but we realized
no expectations.
You realize, oh no, turns out Vlade Divac's still an idiot. The ownership don't like what he's doing. They're idiots too. So the front office is a mess. We've talked about it. The Luka Doncic thing. I never was for Bagley over Doncic. But then apparently Doncic said he wasn't going to Sacramento, which may or may not be true. But why not grab Trae Young? Why not grab Jaren Jackson? I mean, that was a deeper draft, and you chose the one guy who, I mean,
And I'm not out on
in hindsight.
Bagley. Yeah, I'm not out on Bagley. When Bagley has played, he's shown that he's been ultra
I'm not
talented.
out on him.
I mean,
but
I think as far as talent wise, if you couldn't get Luka, that was probably the best thing for them. Just because you probably don't want Trae Young and De'Aaron Fox on the same team. You don't make that decision. You just use.
I don't know about that because you look at De'Aaron Fox playing with Malik Monk in college, and that was
defensively. You got to remember Thibs was there before, right?
Where?
No, not Thibs. Who was the coach there before? Your boy Yeager.
Yeager, yeah.
Yeager's
but you don't draft him for the coach. I mean, again.
But I mean, we know he had a lot of pull in what was going on, man. We seen the players that were being brought in. I mean, dude brought in Zach Randolph, so it's not like he wasn't making.
But my point
decisions.
Is, of all those top 5 guys, y'all picked the one that couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah,
so
I don't knock him for that because I saw Bagley in college. I probably would have went with Bagley too. If you went with they went 8 in first. Then when it gets down, I didn't believe in Jaren Jackson. Like, Jaren Jackson's good. I still don't think Jaren Jackson is better than Bagley. The only thing that he's doing better to me is that he's staying healthy. But if
he can't rebound, save his damn life.
Yeah,
that is my biggest frustration with him.
If you give me Bagley and Jaren Jackson, I'll take Bagley every day of the week. Every day. Even with the injuries, because Bagley's upside is way higher than Jaren Jackson. He's pretty much like a 6'10" small forward. You just kind of knocking him because he's been injured. But when he plays, he's like getting 15 to 15. Like, he's a monster.
When he plays, he's good, but a lot of it, again, is the stats from his position don't really translate to wins so far. So he can't stay on the court for you to say that. Yeah,
that's the problem.
All I'm saying is I keep an eye on him. The jury's still out. I'm not saying he's a bust. I'm not saying I'm just waiting to see. It's his second year. Yeah, I need to see more.
I'm interested to see. That's why I want to give Luke Walton another year, because they found something with Holmes. The way that Holmes plays, rebounds, hustles, and work hard. I hope they keep him and don't just throw him away. But if you can put Holmes with Bagley, I'm interested to see how they play together. And I think they could be a much better team next year. I really want to see what they do with Bogdanovich, though. How much is he willing to take? Can they keep him? Because if they don't keep him, then you kind of get a lineup that's in flux again, because you're going to need a shooter. That's the problem. You have Buddy, but you need more of a ball, like a creator beside Fox for some reason.
I actually agree with that, with the move of putting Buddy on the bench, because
he's not really a creator. He doesn't create for other people. He's just really
You don't really need that as a starting 2 guard when you have so many holes in your offense. So I agree with him just coming in off the bench. Hey, you got the green light, shoot it. Initiate the offense somewhat, but we need guys that can handle the ball and get to the hole, starting.
Well, they actually have a lot of weapons in their starting lineup, so you don't need someone that needs volume shots like Buddy Hield. You don't need that in the starting lineup. Like, Bogdanovich is a lot better because he's just like another point guard. Both of them can create, pass. Like, when you get Bagley in there, that's a crowded starting lineup with Bagley, Harrison Barnes. You know what I mean? You have a lot of scorers that need people to create for them and get them the ball as opposed to getting their own shot. So I like Bogdanovich being able to get people open and get shots for other people, and Buddy just being a gunner off the bench. I think he's gradually growing into that role. Now, the problem with that is when you come off the bench, you're not a guaranteed closer, and he leaves Buddy Hield on the bench a lot of times in close games when maybe you shouldn't.
And I was about to say, and that is my knock on Luke Walton, is you got to know, like, just because this dude doesn't start the game, it doesn't mean he's not one of your best 5 to finish the game.
But that's not the first time he's done that. He's done that a lot of times. But let's get into Portland, man. Dame's coming back, but they still haven't made up the amount of ground. This team has been a real disappointment this year. Nurkic is coming back, but I mean, how effective is he going to be coming off this injury? Is he even in shape? Is that going to mess up the rotation with Hassan Whiteside? It's funny that as good of a season that Hassan Whiteside is having and blocking shot, it comes on the cusp of them having the worst defensive season that they've had. Like, they're terrible in defense. Even though Hassan Whiteside blocks a lot of shots, their defense is still trash, and they're blocking a lot of shots because he's terrible on the pick and roll.
He's lazy as hell, man.
He's kind of just making up for his own mistakes and blocking shots, but even 5 blocks doesn't make up for all the other mistakes you make during the game.
if Portland was 2 games back, 3 games back, I could kind of see it. Man, they are 4.5 games. No, they're 5 games out. They're 5 games out.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
In 19 games.
Yeah, that's a lot. I don't see you making up 5. I mean, that would have to be. I mean, if anybody could do it, you see, with Dame coming off injury, that's just the tough part because he's gonna need a couple games to get back in rhythm. CJ's been balling, but now he's gonna have to. He's getting less touches, and now when you try to factor in, like you said, adding Nurk back into the mix, I just think there's too many moving parts to Portland, being able to gain 5 grounds.
The stats hadn't been equating to wins, and a lot of that goes back to what I said. The defense is so bad, you can't just outscore teams. The West is too deep. Even when you're playing a team like Memphis, you can't just go in there and think that you're going to outscore them. You know what I mean? You have to be able to play some defense, and that's the one thing they really miss with Nurk is that he's able to play the pick and rolls and defend the rim. That's why Miami got so much better when they got rid of Whiteside. Yeah, it looks good on the stat sheet, all those block shots, but it also hurts the guards when your rotations aren't right because you go on the pick and roll, Whiteside doesn't play it right, somebody goes and recover, and then you're going to leave people on the outside to shoot the shots and get the defense all out of rotation. So until they fix their defense, it doesn't matter what Dame and CJ is going to do because they can't stop anybody. I mean, so I don't believe in Portland. Sacramento's been playing good, and Memphis. I mean, to me, it's between Memphis and New Orleans. I mean, that's what it comes down to me. Can New Orleans really get on a run with this string of bad teams to catch Memphis? Can Memphis keep it up? Because one thing about it is when you have players hurt, then you have other players come in. It's kind of harder when those players come back. They kind of mess up the rotation. Right. So is it seamless when these other players come back in and players like Melton and Josh Jackson that just play hard get less minutes? Is it going to be the same? You know what I'm saying? Are they going to miss a beat? Are they going to play as hard? Because right now they're in their playoffs start now. Memphis playoffs start now. New Orleans playoffs start now. And boy, I tell you, boy, if Gentry don't make the playoffs, he's already fired. Probably. Yeah,
but no, I don't. I mean, again, I agree with you that playing Memphis twice in this last little stretch is going to help them. They've got to win both those games. I just don't really trust young teams to do the right thing like that. I mean, this is it's not an insurmountable lead, but this is a pretty sizable lead that Memphis has, and Memphis they've got to be able to take their gimmies too, which they've struggled with. But I like what I'm seeing out of Memphis right now. Ja has kept again. By the way, anybody making a case for Zion for Rookie of the Year, once again, it's not a contest. Ja has kept this team afloat legitimately. Even on games where he's not playing that well, he plays defense. He does all the little things that helps Memphis win games when his shot isn't falling, which has become frequent. They have started to let Ja shoot the ball as far as from a defensive standpoint. It's like, you can take that shot. And, he's got to start making that shot. But the thing I love about Ja is when his shot's not falling, he goes to the cup. So,
they're setting the stage to screw him, though. You realize
they are.
Especially if the New Orleans sneak into the playoffs and catch Ja, it's going to suck. I mean, I would hope that it would at least be co-MVPs.
Right.
But I really feel like they are setting the stage because Zion's been playing well.
Very well.
He's been playing very well.
Oh, take nothing away from Zion. Yeah, but at the end of the day, he hadn't played enough games. I mean, he didn't even play half the season.
You know what you're going to get. Then this is the problem that I had with the media doing it. They get more national televised games. He's getting all the media love. You know what I'm saying? He's on TV more. Like, Ja is quietly doing it. We know Ja. You know what I'm saying? We hear about Ja. But he's not getting nearly the publicity that Zion Williams is getting. And that's what he's going to run into is at the end of the day, that's what people see it. If Zion happens to make the playoffs over Ja, it's a wrap.
Yeah, which I mean, like I said, that's not what the award is, right? And that's the crazy part to me. But I agree with you. Is it going to shock me if they give to Zion? No. Do I think they should? Absolutely not.
Well, no one cares what you think at the end of the day, especially because you're a Grizzlies fan.
Hey, I got to represent for the small market teams. You know what I mean? So you had to put money on it. who's gonna make the 8th seed in the playoffs? Man, somebody is getting crunk outside of my house right now. I don't know what that noise is.
Man, I've been betting on them all season. I'm gonna stick with New Orleans. I know they dropped some games, but I think in this last little 3-week stretch, they're gonna really get it rolling. And I think that having some easy games in front of them, I think as the closer that they get to Memphis, they're gonna start putting some pressure on Memphis. And like you said, you don't trust young teams, but Memphis is a lot younger than New Orleans. New Orleans has some veterans, you know what I'm saying? They've had some players that have played longer seasons, so I think towards the end, New Orleans is going to edge them out. I think it's going to be close, but I think those 2 games in March 21st and March 24th are going to be big. I just think that Zion getting the feel for the game, they're kind of getting the feel for their rotation. They really need JJ back. If they get JJ back, I think that really will seal it for them, but I like New Orleans, man.
Fun fact, J.J. Redick has actually never missed the playoffs.
If you say that goddamn stat one more time, I'm tired of hearing it. Everybody likes to say that stat over and over again. Who cares, man? It ain't like he's been the star player on any team he's played on.
So, you know what I figured out? I actually like this to my fiance as well. I got her watching Living Single. And so every time the show comes off, comes on, you know, in the intro, it's Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
And I never knew that it was Queen Latifah rapping and singing. I just always thought it was her rapping.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh shit, that's Queen Latifah. And so now every time it comes on, I go, hey babe, you know that's Queen Latifah singing too? She's so talented, and she just waits for it now just so she can tell me shut the hell up.
Yeah.
So that's my JJ Redick take as well.
Yeah, I went to Essence Fest, and the Queen Latifah, they booked her. Queen Latifah literally did like a 30-minute set of her just singing like Chicago show team tunes or some shit before she started rapping. And you know it's Queen Latifah. You gonna tell her she can't do it?
Man, if you could go back to 1990, I don't know, would you have imagined that Queen Latifah and Ice Cube have like? Would you put money that these motherfuckers have the career that they have? Like right now, like if you,
Ice-T too.
Ice-T, if you told me, yo, these motherfuckers are gonna be like renowned actors and like Grammy-winning jazz musicians in Queen Latifah's case, and like they're gonna be household names, and by 2020,
I could believe Queen Latifah. I could, to some extent, believe Ice Cube, but Ice-T. Yeah, Ice-T is the biggest surprise for me because he was wild. Ice-T was way wild. Like Ice Cube did, you know, NWA.
Ice Cube was too, man. That dude was.
Yeah, but he was like, when you hear him talking, you know, you seen him acting in like Higher Learning the movies, you could see him crossing over. But Ice-T was wild.
You know what we need to do? We need to go find out. We should have done this for Black History Month. We need to make a list of the best black movies of that era, probably like, you know what I mean, like the late 80s to early to mid 90s, because I forgot all about Higher Learning, Do the Right Thing, Belly, like all that stuff. We need to go back.
It's 1,000 of those lists out there.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, I don't read those. I need to go back and watch them.
All right, man, in the show, let's do a quick buy or sell.
Buy or sell.
All right, so I'm gonna start off hitting you with Miami Heat were really hot. They were getting a lot of love. They've been kind of slumping. Andre Iguodala trade hadn't really been working out like they thought it would.
Surprise.
Buy or sell the Miami Heat getting out of the first round of the playoffs.
Who they slated to play?
Let's take a look. Fourth. Aren't they with the Pacers or somebody right now? I have to check.
So yeah, right now they slotted to play the Pacers. I don't know. I'm not really a believer in anyone past 3 in the East. Miami's terrible on the road. God, they are flat out awful on the road, and that's going to be a problem. And Indiana's just as if they play Indiana,
if they get the 4 seed, that works to their benefit.
Yeah. No. If they get the 3 seed, it works to their benefit because of Philadelphia.
No, well, I'm talking about like them being able to win at home because, you know, 4 seed.
I was going to say because Indiana's good Indiana's fucking good.
Yeah, but what we didn't touch on is Malcolm Brogdon is probably out for the season. Victor Oladipo is struggling with a hamstring injury, which makes sense coming back off the injury that he had. But with Malcolm Brogdon being out, and now you're starting like Aaron Holiday. I think Doug McDermott's been hurt. TJ Warren's been hurt. Yep. So that team is coming in limping. I don't know how healthy they're going to get before the playoffs.
Lance Stevenson on the way, though.
Please. I don't know how healthy those dudes are going to be able to get before the playoffs. And it's kind of funny because I asked you that question because I'm looking. If they can stay in the 4 seed, they actually have favorable matchups based on the season. Now, I know you wouldn't think that the Milwaukee Bucks would be favorable for them. But if you're looking at the regular season, they're a favorable matchup for Miami.
Especially, well, I mean, wait, in the playoffs or in the regular season?
I mean, you talk. I don't know what they're going to do in the regular season. You can assume that Milwaukee's going to get a lot better in the regular season, but we don't know. All I can go off is the regular season. During the regular season, Miami's been a tough matchup for Milwaukee.
Well, Giannis is hurt right now, so that's this kind of reminds me of
no. Every time they play, Giannis has been healthy. Giannis is hurt now.
No. I just mean in terms of Milwaukee's going forward, because it depends on how hurt that knee is. It kind of reminds me of Steph right before the playoff in 2016. But to answer your original question, I'll buy the Heat getting out of the first round. I think they're a good enough team to get out the first round. Depending on, like you said, Indiana's a good team, but they're reeling. I think they can beat Philly. And then once you get to the next round, that's going to be where trouble starts to arise for them.
And we talk a lot about the Western Conference playoffs, but if you look at the Eastern Conference playoffs, right now it's geared up for some good matchups in the second round and even the first round. Because if you look at it, Miami against Indiana, you get Boston against Philly. You know what I mean? Then you get into the second round. If you get that Miami versus Milwaukee, like I said, those have been very, very good games. The versatility of Bam kind of gives Giannis a lot of trouble. Not that he doesn't get his buckets, but that matchup right there gives Giannis some trouble because he can move with Giannis. Then you'll get Toronto either against Philly or Boston. I think we both believe that it'll be Boston. So I mean that's some really good playoffs that we're gonna get to see.
Yeah, I agree. I got one for you.
Go.
Buy or sell, and we may have talked about this before, but what they don't know don't hurt them. Bradley Beal is this generation's Tracy McGrady.
I will sell. I think Bradley Beal, like the one thing about Tracy McGrady, I don't know, man. I think Tracy McGrady did more for his team than Bradley Beal. You know what I mean? Has Bradley Beal
wait. Sorry. Let me clarify. I think Tracy McGrady is 10 times better than Bradley Beal.
Then what
I just mean in terms of the best player on the team that's just a great scorer, probably gets you to the first round. Not this year, but other years. Gets to the first round of the playoffs, scores a lot of points, but he's bounced. He's not making it out of the first round ever.
Sale. I'm not giving Bradley Beal that type of respect.
I mean, I'm kind of violating for even putting him in the same breath as T-Mac, to be honest with you.
T-Mac was like, now Bradley Beal's been cooking, but you got to remember, T-Mac cooked for like a long time. I can't give Bradley Beal the respect just because he's cooking for one season. Even a lot of players.
T-Mac remind me of young me, man. That dude was incredible.
You mean when he messed up both his knees and could barely walk? Yeah, that does remind me of you.
Okay. All right. Buy or sell, LeBron James winning the MVP.
I buy it, man. He should be. I mean, I hate on him a lot, but what he's doing this season, like I said before, I think that this is the best version of LeBron. I think this is the version that LeBron always wanted to be, like a point guard on a team with a player like Anthony Davis. Yeah, you had Kevin Love on the team, but I mean, you're throwing it to him to the three-point line, and you're relying on him to hit threes. When he can just go to the rim and throw it up to dudes to dunk, I mean, it's pretty incredible. So his point guard skills, the way he sees the ball, he looks refreshed. And I'm anxious to see what he does in the playoffs. But, yeah, I definitely think, I mean, he took this Lakers team and made them the number one team. We got to remember, this team didn't make the playoffs. Yeah, you added Anthony Davis, but you didn't add a lot else. You know what I mean? It's not like you created a super team over here because they definitely not that. I mean, the Clippers kind of stacked that whole roster on top of a good AC team, you know what I mean? So they added 2 All-Stars, but LeBron added AD and a bunch of other dudes, you know what I'm saying? So what LeBron has done, how he's done it, the way he's doing it, isn't he like leading the league in assists or something? Yeah, he's still leading the league in assists right now. Again, so LeBron James right now for 2019. You look at points, rebounds, assists, like this dude is balling. He's averaging 25... basically 26, 8, and almost 11 right now. Yes. And for the number one team in the West, and literally without him, they
his
have
17th season.
Like I said, they get a steep drop off without him. Like if Anthony Davis doesn't play, they can survive. If LeBron doesn't play, I don't know if they score 90 points.
So I was having this argument with some friends of mine. They some deep rooted haters. I'm talking about deep rooted LeBron haters. Jordan lovers. No matter what this motherfucker do, he's never gonna be Jordan. To the point to where it was just like I was laying out the facts, and I was like, what would it take for people to if LeBron wins the title this year? People are still gonna be like, well, what would it take for him to pass Michael Jordan? And somebody said, be Michael Jordan. And it's like at this point though, statistically, even though it's like it would be 4 rings versus 6, whatever. This dude would have been to 10 finals, 4 rings, and he owns every statistical thing after that though.
That he played. The stats is a little skewed because he played for 17 years and he came out of high school. You know what I mean?
So what?
I mean, that skews the stats. I mean, but I agree.
And Michael took an additional 2 years. He took off 4 years of his career too because he retired twice.
You didn't even get all of MJ's prime. He could have went 8 titles in a row.
Man, okay, I still will never buy that argument.
Hey, 8 in a row. I still think the first year he took off, they would have had real problems with Houston. I agree. Houston would have been a real problem with them. Houston had dominated them. So in the regular season, they just got lucky enough where they didn't get a chance to match up with Houston because of Houston's. But yeah, I think Houston would have gave him some real problems. But I think he would have came back and they would have won. So I think they would have at least he would have had 7 rings as opposed to 6. But
maybe.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But what I would say is if LeBron wins a ring with LA, he's my number one player. He's gonna jump Michael Jordan.
For me, gotta be. I mean, what
3 rings with 3 different teams. You brought Cleveland back from never being anything. You won the first title that Cleveland ever had against the all-time great dynasty. Then you go to the Lakers when they're complete trash. You give them a championship. Like
Lakers hadn't made the playoffs in 6 years, bro.
Yeah, you mean you resurrected the Lakers from the dead. So yeah, I mean, I think you got to give them that respect.
But like too, you and I are of the MJ era. We are MJ dudes. Like we're gonna watch this documentary and gonna conclude that MJ is still the best ever. Like okay, but again,
I want everybody to know. Come off after the title, I might change my mind. I just want to put that out here right now.
Right, you know what I mean? Like that's we still Jordan, okay? But I want people to understand, like for these Jordan fanatics who can't be swayed, somebody's gonna do it, man. Like somebody is going to surpass Jordan, and in 20 years, they're gonna look at the 80s and 90s like you and I look at the 60s.
You're gonna look at Jordan like you look at Magic, because before everybody thought that nobody could surpass Magic. There was people forever saying that Jordan will never be as good as Magic because Magic was a team player. Now we look back like Magic, he all right.
But no, you do that, not me. You.
I don't be Magic.
They gonna look at Jordan like we look at Bill Russell. They gonna like, yeah, I bet he was great playing with nothing but white guys. You know what I mean?
I ain't gonna go that far.
Couldn't dribble his left hand.
I give him Magic. I ain't gonna go back to Bill Russell.
What they say, Jordan playing against plumbers and and teachers.
That sounds like garbage man. That sounds like my Oscar Robertson argument. We playing with factory workers that got part-time jobs, smoking cigarettes at halftime.
But the young bucks say that about the younger generation. They like Larry Bird drink beer every day. You know what I mean? Like he playing against garbage men and construction workers, man.
Well, I mean, Larry Bird did hurt his back laying down concrete in his driveway.
See, motherfuckers ain't doing that today.
You got your boy Karl Malone out hunting. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Karl Malone ain't been heard from since he left the NBA. Ain't no telling what he out there doing.
Karl Malone probably got a cabin somewhere in Utah in the woods. He probably ain't even got cell service out there.
No, or he might be like Bison Dele. He just disappeared one day. So too soon. All right, man. Anything before we get out of here?
Nah, man, that's it, bro.
2Smart Network. We have added to the lineup the Suburban Dad.
The sexy Suburban Dad.
The sexy Suburban Dad. When the Smoke Clears is back. You know, that's where we at right now. We rocking and rolling. We got a couple more coming to you. We're gonna be flooding you guys with content. Blogs still. We working on the blogs, y'all.
You keep saying that.
You know, I got writer's block right now. So you know, at some point I'll get it. But other than that, check us out, 2smartnetwork.com. You can find us on Instagram at 2smartnetwork.
2Smart Network, the number 2 Smart Network. You can find us at 2Smart Dummies at the number 2Smart Dummies. The network, you can find all the links to social media and other platforms on www.2 number 2 Smart Network.
That's it. That's all.
Peace.
Peace.